Hey there, boils and ghouls. Welcome to this week's episode. Coming at you right after the Lakers just whoop Golden State's ass.
That was not a whoop ass, but they won.
No, the feeling afterwards was real whoop ass.
Yeah, it was a very energized feeling.
In fact, Garen was texting me, "What a game! Like that was a great game of basketball."
It was an amazing game and a weird one because the headline people weren't like looking like themselves for a lot of it.
Yeah,
But then all of a sudden they did, and then it just it's just a classic game.
yeah. So that was great.
That was great. Thanks, Garen, for sharing the excitement.
We're in the new office. That's why I'm saying this is a really kick-ass day. Like we got everything set up.
Yeah, I wish you could see the black and gold magnificence of this.
I know, and we have 2 Hitchcock posters going up over there, a Pulp Fiction, and then a Jaws poster.
Yep, exactly.
And
So when I look across, the first book titles that grab me are Dracula and Frankenstein. So I'm feeling like
yeah. I'll tell you though, we do want to lose the Headless Horseman for some nicer looking thing because that's a very expensive shelf. So
don't let the Headless Horseman hear you want to spend.
Well, here's the thing. All right, I'm making the argument that he should stay, but I also have Haunted Mansion Lego Castle directly above him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I think he should go. I just don't think he should hear that this plot is happening.
He ain't got ears.
He's looking right at me right now, like it's creepy.
Yeah, but speaking of the Pulp Fiction poster, we also I put all this together over the weekend of my Dirty 30.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Happy birthday!
And so we went to Casa Vega because it was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I had the margarita called the Tarantino.
Yes, indeed. Although it was outdoor, so we didn't get
we didn't get to go inside
the indoor vibe, but we got the outdoor approach. Looks exactly like it
still felt great.
Yeah, you're
and then 3 members out of the 4 of the party woke up with massive diarrhea the next day.
Yeah,
I said, George,
not exactly a commercial for Casa Vega.
No, I mean, here's the thing, though. Mm-hmm. I'd go back.
oh, good. I'm glad.
No, the only thing that we had that Alex didn't was the guacamole.
That's exactly right.
You know, but I would also take a couple lactates.
Yeah.
Too, because apparently now that I'm 30, I can't drink milk, which that sucks. Kind of happened out of nowhere, really.
that's absolutely true. It could be something else, just so that we avoid the lawsuit. We did do other things together.
Well, I put this shit together.
That's true.
The whole office.
Maybe it's from this.
Yeah.
But, well, right, and this actually came out amazing. And like a really good vibe for what we do too, which is cool because it wasn't just for that.
Right. No. It wasn't just for this, but like I do not smoke, but I feel like I need a cigar in this room just to have in my mouth like Adam Gomez, just chewing on a cigar.
It's a totally good vibe.
It's that kind of vibe.
So the idea for this episode flipped last minute. And I love
it really did.
I love when this happens, right? Because the original idea for what we were talking about was was about movies that were good, either our favorites or the best, but that never were in a franchise of any kind, right? And defining the franchise was difficult, and then we decided to like make the list only movies like after a certain year because obviously they weren't going to make a sequel to The Invisible Man yet, so it's not fair to not have that be in a franchise. And then you flipped the script, and now there's a much more interesting topic at hand.
Yeah, I got.
So we're going to talk about both, but I want to go to yours. So explain the flip.
Oh, so basically, it would be like, what's a movie that if you made it not a franchise anymore, you just took the first film standalone?
Right. Well, maybe. Actually, the way you originally phrased it.
How did I originally phrase it?
The way you originally phrased it was, what is a franchise that shouldn't be?
Yeah.
Right?
That was it.
Where it should just be one movie. And it's funny you said it that way, because when you said just one, there were a couple I thought of where I would make it just one movie, but it wasn't necessarily the first in the line. Most of the times it's the first. But I did have a couple exceptions. So like it can get a little interesting. But then that immediately became interesting. I was like, let's talk about that first, because you had some good ideas about the flip. So what's an example of the flip for you?
Well, we were still debating my original pick,
which was
Saw.
Oh, right. Right.
Because you didn't agree with me, but like,
right.
Because you said, because I saw the criteria you were working with. You were saying that it wouldn't improve the movie. It would improve Saw.
So, right.
But that's not the angle I was going for.
All right, so let's do this. Okay, right. That's
okay. So the goal isn't to improve the movie, but here's what I'm saying. It's like to me, it's a gold movie, right? Mm-hmm. But I think if you just eliminated all of it, the rest of it, and all society had was Saw 1.
Right.
It would take it from gold to legacy status because it would be that one film at that one point in time that kicked off torture porn.
Right.
That's my theory.
Right. No, I totally get. I think that's a valid argument. Right. The thing is, for example, what immediately jumped to my mind was, and this is gonna get me killed everywhere, but I don't care.
I'm ready.
Was Phantasm.
I get where that's going
because I feel like, and I regret this because I love the universe and I love a lot of the moments of where things went.
Right.
But I feel like because it wasn't like in Hellraiser, you could make an argument that Hellraiser 2 is as good as the first one. I don't believe it exactly, but you could make that argument and not sound crazy, right?
Right.
There's just no way to make an argument for any following Phantasm being as good as Phantasm, right? So that was how I originally took it, was get rid of everything else and then you just have this one amazing movie, right? But with Saw, you're getting rid of 2 and 3, both of which I liked.
Right.
So I was like, wait, that doesn't fit the criteria. But then I saw what you were saying, and you were saying was just get rid of everything and you just have Saw, and you have the same thing you just said happened to Phantasm. Saw is going to be this legendary movie that was like one and done, and no one could touch it, right?
It's like two paths. We got two paths to our end game.
It's like
because another one came to my mind.
Yes.
And
I'm not done with Saw yet.
Oh, no, okay, no. Then you keep going. I'll put a pin on this.
No. Okay, so but don't lose the thought. But
I'm writing it down.
Because the Saw argument is like, so we've established the two arguments. We just haven't decided a winner, right? So like, should Saw 2 and 3 stay?
Well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
So since we took two films and we both made them legacy stats, that's what we'll call them when they're masterpieces.
Okay.
We'll call them legacy.
Fair.
Now we have to do Saw versus Phantasms because one's representing each path.
Okay.
And which one do we think holds the weight? So let's say we live in a society where we only have we live in a society.
Yes, yeah. I love this.
Where we have just one Phantasm and we have one Saw.
Yes.
Which film do you think in your gut? Because a lot of this we just have to kind of guess.
I don't think that answers any of our question, but I think the answer to that question is that it's almost apples and oranges. I don't mean to cop out, I really don't, but I think the real answer is they're just too far apart in time, and genres. So like,
you know what? I agree with you because when I tried to answer,
they'll each just both be legendary in their position.
When I was
like Trick or Treat is.
Yeah, like when I was trying to answer that honestly, I knew in my head I'm really just flipping a coin.
Exactly.
Because each have their own little thing that they're going for. So you're right. Yeah, no, we can't.
But if you pit Phantasm 2 and 3 against Saw 2 and 3, which I think starts to help answer the question, you see that Phantasm 2 and 3 lose pretty badly to Saw 2 and 3.
You have to go to Next of Kin.
Right, exactly.
That's what we'll call that path. Next of Kin.
We'll call it Next of Kin. All right, so to adjudicate this further, if we end up, in this position, you just go to the Next of Kin. We got this solved. So in the Next of Kin category...
We could have started a country.
We could have...
Laws are easy.
Yeah, exactly. Laws are... We got this handled. Listener questions. If you have anything you want us to decide for complex issues,
but do it in an iTunes review, and we will see to it like the Supreme Court of the United States.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll put on robes and wigs and shit.
Yeah.
I want a gavel
for a 5-star review. Absolutely, we probably will. So yeah, I think Saw. I'm loath to get rid of movies I liked. I feel like there's other franchises where you could just lose everything, right? So what else did you think of for franchises that where you just get rid of all of it?
Okay, so I haven't seen any of the following wrong turns, so I'll say that going ahead. But I also also feel very confident.
No,
I'm driving blind here, George. I honestly think
you can't say. I can give you the right answer here. Most of what came after Wrong Turn was not great. Some of it is fun. Wrong Turn 2 is one of those movies that I feel like has a chance to turn into like a Halloween 3 situation, a mini Halloween 3 situation later, get discovered ish.
Well, why didn't you just sell the movie like that to me years ago? I would have fucking seen it. That's all the shit out of me.
It's just a completely weird take on it. It kind of has some of the same deficiencies Blair Witch 2 does, but I don't think is bad. But not even bad. That's the wrong word for it. It's just different. They were trying different things. It's starring Henry Rollins, which is a unique, feel. I like that's I like that they tried that. Anyway, that's not the point. But the point is, I think that you can't get I don't know that you could. Most of Wrong Turn can go.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
That shouldn't be a franchise. Would you agree or disagree? Psycho.
No, fuck no.
Yeah, that's got to stay.
Wrong. Yeah, absolutely.
That's got to stay.
Yeah, it's got to stay. There's tons of. Well, there's more. There's literally more good than not in there if you're counting like Bates Motel, the intellectual property, like
right.
Okay. So I'm torn on some of these because it's kind of hard. So first of all, we like any bad hunters, we went after like the biggest thing moving, right?
Right.
Like we took out our guns and we're like, find like whatever, something that was the size of a mountain that we knew we could hit. So we were picking big franchises. If you're picking off smaller franchises where it's like 2 or 3 movies at best, right?
Right.
That it could get kind of interesting there. But in terms of the big franchises, the only one where I felt like let's just get rid of everything but the first is Amityville, just because.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, and I have a particular reason for it. And it's not that I can say there's not quality. I actually really like Amityville too at parts. And there's other stuff. And then the Amityville remake, if you're counting that as part of the franchise, you can't get rid of that because, so that's not even this isn't even a great one. But I was looking at, like, it starts to be math, right? Like, occasionally when you give a filmmaker the chance and the space, they'll come up with something really interesting and unique, like a Candyman or whatever. But instead, this gave us 17 Amityvilles.
Yeah,
I feel like there was just the math went sour on that one, right? And then it should have got trimmed at some point. So I had to vote for that as a franchise. But surprisingly, a lot of franchises that you think you could just like flat out say like Jaws, you can't really, because Jaws 2 is pretty good, as we've discovered multiple times, right?
Finally,
Jaws 3 is like a great memory for anyone who saw Jaws 3 at the right time, because it's colossally terrible, but fun terrible, right? And then Jaws 4 is like one of those movies that they play at the entrance to hell while you're waiting and force you to watch. It's so bleak.
Damn.
And like, I don't get, there's a lot of people who like have affection for it. I've seen legitimate internet arguments of Jaws 3 versus 4, which sounds insane to me because Jaws 4 is like the Nietzsche, it's like the existential bleak zone of movies. Like Jaws 4 believes in nothing. It has no soul. It's just trying to suck the life out of you, and sell you on this preposterous idea that requires you to forget anything you've ever learned in life.
Damn. If there were ever an argument to make.
So yeah, no, not Jaws. What else you got?
That was like Mr. George Goes to Washington.
I had to take down Jaws 4. It bothers me that people think that movie. That's a movie that I feel like you shouldn't let babysit your children.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Because I have an idea to eliminate a franchise where it would just be one film.
Okay.
Masterpiece. But it involves a minor sacrifice.
Okay, a pound of flesh.
A pound of flesh.
Okay.
And I would go with the Brendan Fraser Mummy.
Wow. Oh,
so I would
really?
So losing 3, no sweat at all.
Right. Okay. Fair
Dragon Tomb Emperor or something like that.
You can't lose 2. Are you crazy?
I love to, but like hard times equals hard choices. And I'm wondering what am I willing? I feel like this is like an old tale from the 1800s. What are you willing to give, for a better life?
So this is going to sound strange, but I don't think you can get to where you're trying to get with your strategy. Because I don't think if you get rid of all the other mummies that it makes the original Mummy like a legend more than it is. The original Mummy right now is a legend. It's a straight up legend now.
Yeah, we don't have to paint it. You're right.
Right? Like there's nothing getting rid of, nothing advances it not 1 inch higher. Like when you go when you go to like, like see it shine, like measure the glow coming from it. It's not going to get any brighter by eliminating the other things. It's already amazing, and the people who love it, right? Like, I think
No, that's true.
I don't think you can make that better by getting rid of the rest, especially since 2 is like really fun, right?
What's the consensus on 2? Hold on. I'm not convinced that everyone else loves it.
Now there's some weird thought experiments. Watch this. What do they say in Star Wars when the planet blows up? You can hear like millions of souls crying out or something.
Oh yeah.
Like that. Like,
nah, second one's the first one's not. You know what? That's a hard. You know what? I could see. I started thinking about the logistics of this. I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
I can see. What's that Star Wars line where the planet blows up and they're like, I can hear a million souls crying out once, or is that Star Trek?
It was some Star Wars.
I can't remember.
Like
what it is, but that's about to happen for what I'm about to do. But just try to imagine only the original Godzilla, right? Just a thought experiment,
right?
Like eliminate the other 112 movies, right? And then you just have Godzilla, right? So what does that do to that original movie? Well, I mean, it's impossible to imagine, right? Because there's been so many iterations of it since. But if no one had ever been able to touch it, and that should really transition us to the other part that was interesting to me about in our original thing of why would great movies not become franchises, right? Like, how do you get? And there's a couple that really puzzled me when we were going through our lists. Like, there's some that make sense, right? But for example, it kind of blows my mind that there's no other movies that were made in the Misery universe, right? But they ultimately did the TV show. So I guess they did, I guess that becomes a franchise if you're counting the show or whatever. But movies like The Changeling, right, which is an amazing movie. Movies like Night of the Hunter.
I was actually shocked about Night of the
Hunter. Right, that there's no remakes.
Like, even if like they tried to pull it off in like the 70s or something like that.
Right, because I feel like there was a time where if you had something that was successful, that was it. Like there were like 7 Invisible Mans after the original one. It was like the Invisible Man returns, the Invisible Man skips, the Invisible Man climbs a wall. Like there was a whole franchise made out of like one successful character that was a breakout thing. But there was a time apparently where that just didn't happen with a lot of stuff. What movies did you have on your list that you were great that didn't become franchises at all?
Easy.
Hit me.
Well, I call it the nuclear option, which wasn't bullshit. I'm not leading with that.
No, it's okay.
All right, I'm not actually probably won't even mention it. Okay. The one that I was most shocked.
Okay.
I would go with Dead Silence.
Okay, and why?
Well, one, it was James Wan. And I mean,
Everything.
Saw and Conjuring, like, if there's anyone more prime to do it, like James Wan's the dude to do it.
Right. It feels like if he dropped something out of his pocket, it would multiply into 4 things on the ground.
But also, like, all the puppets in the film, like they had like Mary Shaw, who was the the villain, and like the one puppet that they always use through the film. He looked kind of like Slappy from Goosebumps. But they had like so many other puppets where like it could have easily like either went to another puppet or
like they've done.
I mean, that's a dumb idea, but it's a stupid fucking idea. Why can't the first puppet's fine? We don't need another puppet.
You just in real time discovered why there's only one dead.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I get it. Mary Shaw did her thing. She's
You're
bound.
like, I get it. It's just good, right?
Well, no, it's funny. No, but real talk though, I was when I was like Googling some of the movies to see if they had a second one, I kind of like almost guaranteed that Dead Silence had one. But then there was a big article as to like why it's not happening. So apparently there's like some controversy behind it not happening. So people want it.
Right. It's just one of those things, right?
Just one of those things. Like, it just shit happens.
It wasn't complete lack of demand or something mysterious or just nobody cared. Like,
just like Hollywood bullshit, probably.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because there's some, when you say some of these, like Don't Look Now or Let's Scare Jessica to Death, you can feel sort of why it's just alone there, why it's one and done. And there's some that not. But I think I made a discovery. I think I'm like those Arctic explorers that got out there first and then died. So I'll probably die before this podcast ends. But I think I made a discovery.
Well, I hope you're not, because then it'd be like a Mary Shaw thing, and then I'd be in dead silence
You'd
too.
be in dead silence, right?
Oh,
The rest of this
jeez.
podcast would be. So, okay, knock on wood. But like, I think I made a discovery. I think the discovery is that this happens with horror vehicles, right? So check this out. I was like, one of the very first movies that came to mind when we originally thought about this idea was Christine. Like, why is there nothing else really in the Christine universe? It makes no sense. Matter of fact, the whole point, like some of these, when you have a humanish character and the humanish character dies, you gotta like really do script gymnastics to get that person back. But like Christine just resurrects herself. Like, you don't need this is just a natural. It's not like we needed explanations, right, for how this was going to go. So, and matter of fact, that's what the movie was teasing at the end of it. So it just seemed like a natural thing. And then I was like, you know what else? There should have been more for the car. Remember, because I love the car, the 1977, the Brolin film. So I was like, but then I was like, Duel, Spielberg's first movie. I'm like, wait a minute.
Is there Maximum Overdrive too?
What? I don't think so. This is what I'm saying. So like this whole genre of like horror vehicles, for some reason they're all like one and done movies, even though the movies are really loved by horror fans. Maybe not so much at the time. Like I'm sure Maximum Overdrive was considered a disaster at the time, right? But it's come to get like that Scream Factory love, like the resurrected discovery of it. So
that's wild,
right? Doesn't it seem? It seems like the vehicle ones don't really, and I don't know what particularly causes that, or if it's total coincidence. But the vehicle genre itself, for some reason, is resistant to franchises.
There's no Bumblebee too.
Well, but that's not right. Transformers belies that, but do they count? Because I mean, they're like people, right?
No, it's
like,
different.
They're like people with personalities. Well, no, not personalities. This is a Michael Bay movie. Let's not get carried away. But like, they're people who say things.
That's very true. There are words.
Words come out of their mouths.
Coming out of people's mouths.
Right. That's exactly right. All right, what else you
got? So like some of these like make sense. I really like Kevin Smith's Red State.
Yes.
And like I don't know how you would do a sequel for that. I mean, the dude,
that's what I'm saying.
He's in prison, but
right, like House of the Devil.
Yeah, how do you do a sequel to that?
Well, I mean, we know where the story left off, and I see how you could write into a thing with it, but you wiped out all the characters everyone loves.
Yeah,
basically, except for one, right? So. I think there's only one left.
I don't think you could do a Red State. Dagon, I was sort of surprised with. Like that felt like out of most of them on the list, that feels like the one where they're like, we could definitely make another one for like $400 and just get real weird with it.
They wouldn't, and it's weird. It's because I remember when I was a kid with one of my history teachers that said history is geography. He's like, it's just geography. It's just like in the old times. The fate of a country was just kind of where it was. Like if you were next to a popular piece of water, you were wealthy, and if you were next to like you're in a valley, you were like isolated and you got weird. Like, he's like it's just geography, right? So like I don't know. It feels inevitable that some movies turn out kind of the way they do, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think. I didn't. Red State to me feels like a natural. Dagon is like an isolated movie in its geography, like Lovecraft would be. Mm-hmm. So the way New England cities are is like they can't get to each other, right? So Lovecraft stories are like they're isolated from each other. You can't connect them up that well. So I don't think they're going to do sequels. It's not like. It's like killing one of our best directors to try to get At the Mountain of Madness made, right? Oh, yeah. Like, it's just not easy to work in that property. So I don't think you're going to get a sequel to Dagon. I'm sorry to tell you.
Well, that's a shame.
But it will live. What else you got on your list?
Okay, so I got three more that I had that I liked. Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Yeah. Another one.
That is weird.
Well, there's
a story.
Right?
Yeah.
There has to be. Which is funny because it involves Kevin Smith writing it, I think.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I've. I mean, I've watched them on podcasts say that, so I'm pretty sure it's accurate.
Oh, okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But it was like Beetlejuice goes to Hawaii or something like that.
Well, that could be awesome, actually.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it could have been.
I just realized that could actually.
It could have been really good.
That could be great.
But I don't know why it never happened. But that was like, I know that was the title.
I think it would be great, but I could also see why it didn't happen. I can see both sides of that one.
Yeah, that doesn't sound real appetizing.
Okay,
but
But even so, but here's the thing. It seems obvious to me that there are stories behind a lot of why these things aren't happening. Some of them are rights issues, and some are what they did to the characters. But it also. Maybe it's a good idea just to leave it.
Leave it. Yeah, just fucking leave it.
In some of the cases, maybe it's a good idea to leave it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. This next one I'm actually kind of surprised with. Mm-hmm. Silver Bullet.
Yes.
It just felt, there's just something about it that feels like they could just.
No. So Silver Bullet feels like a natural because the world was so cool to spend time in.
Yeah.
And usually when you get something like that, even like a Fright Night got sequels, right? So like
exactly,
right. But the reason I'm not shocked sounding when you say it is because of the weirdness of kind of where that came from. Because the book was a total one-off, like a weirdo situation,
right?
And because it was a weirdo situation that didn't connect up anywhere else in King's universe either, it seemed natural that the movie wouldn't go anywhere. Because the book didn't go anywhere. Because it was a calendar. Right?
They should have just made a calendar for the next year.
Right, of course.
Well,
of course, you could have had like yearly sequels. It would have been amazing. That's a great universe. But, yeah, no.
Problem solved.
I guess it's just, no, it's not just why, it's just why I wasn't surprised. Because it kind of mapped to his literary universe.
Now,
but it's not like anyone's faithful to him. So
exactly. The last one, I'm not shocked that there is. This was one that I just thought would be really nice.
Okay.
I always thought that a sequel for Monster Squad would be cool.
Yes. Why isn't there one?
I have no idea.
It seems like there should be. I mean, it's a legend in the field.
When in doubt, blame Universal.
I mean, that feels right? It's the same thing with Trick or Treat, right? I'm sure it's not as simple as just putting something together and making it happen.
Because I mean, I would just do different. You could just do different monsters. I mean, I don't know if you could get Universal monsters back because you killed all of them.
I mean,
you could bring back Frankenstein. All right.
Oh, easy.
Dracula really never dies.
No, yeah, he's fine.
You see what I'm saying?
Everything's.
They did straight up murder Gilman. Like they shot him in the chest. So I think it's fine. He's toast.
No, I think he's fine.
You think he lives?
I think he's fine.
All right. The mummy gets unraveled and turns to dust.
I think they're all fine.
The mummy cannot be fun. Nah, dude. Okay, maybe. Okay, you know what? You know what though? That's fair because all the Universal monsters have a bunch of movies afterwards, so they all come back somehow. Right. But you have to add more layers to that cake.
Okay.
So then you add Bride of Frankenstein. You add the Invisible Man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm all for this. Absolutely.
Jekyll and Hyde.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you totally night at the museum. This whole thing. Yeah.
That's what you do.
Absolutely.
You just night at the museum.
Absolutely. Just the horror night at the museum.
Monster Squad's night at the museum.
Oh hell yeah! Are you kidding me? Like you could Easter egg the shit out of it. It would be easy to execute. Yeah.
Is there any other like monsters like Universal monsters?
That were
like I know some people
not universal. I mean, it'll be hard to come up with universal ones. I'm sure there's a few niche ones, but it's
the Phantom of the Opera wouldn't make sense to be thrown in there.
I would love to personally. Like Phantom of the Opera was one of the first horror movies I fell in love with. The silent one, the Lon Chaney one, but I still think that's
okay. Throw him in. Fuck it. We're going big.
Still think. I mean, he's one of the scariest characters. And you can't imagine a Bravo's like scariest movie moment got down without the unmasking of the Phantom.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think exactly in there. But there are tons of creatures that you would love to. Like you're a monster guy. Like what are the top 3 creatures you would Easter egg into a night at the museum? Like think about like a Ready Player One situation.
So you definitely got to have the Crypt Keeper.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's pretty iconic
for sure. Has to be in there, right? So you're excited to get the Crypt
So like let's say this museum is still within the Monster Squad realm of possibilities, right? Like that area, that world. I think
that's not where I was going at all. But go ahead.
But no. But you were doing Night at the Museum.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, say the Monster Squad's at this Night at the Museum.
Yeah.
That's the world's kind of makes sense.
Go for it.
I feel like it'd be kind of hilarious to throw in like a Cenobite. Because it's like, fish man and invisible guy, and then this fucking thing from hell. Just to really spice it up.
That's pretty good.
And then no shit. You know what I would do for the last one?
Okay.
I would do a dinosaur. I would do like Velociraptors from Jurassic Park.
Of course.
I'm going complete
that
fucking
silhouette is recognizable from like.
Imagine you see Frankenstein's his arms coming out.
Yeah.
The Invisible Man throws a bottle at you and misses, but then you see a goddamn dinosaur charging at you.
Yeah,
That's scary.
Yeah,
the Cenobite's still probably the most scary thing.
See, I would go totally obscure. Like I'd be homaging like the octopus thing from Possession '81, and like just shit like 3 people would like see or whatever. Because it just feels like there's gonna be so much going on the screen already with what's happening.
You know what though? In that realm,
in the Easter egg realm, yes.
In that Easter egg realm, like imagine imagine the Monster Squad, but like there's a giant movie monster that they have to deal with.
Right, that's like that animated series. I'll never think of the name of it, but good, yeah.
So, but I would do like an old school, like the like Beast of 20,000 Phantoms or something like that, or oh god,
the Amazing Colossal Man or something.
The fifth was it the fourth? There's like 40, 50, 60, 70 feet. They covered every. Tagging the 50-foot woman or something like that.
The only thing they didn't do was switch to metric, but they did.
Yeah, they did. They did
all the other things.
They did everything else. Or okay, let me ask you this:
yes.
Would you do like one of the stop motion?
For sure.
Harryhausen.
Oh, absolutely. I would like Medusa from Class.
Because how cool would that look visually?
Or Bobo the Owl. Are you kidding me? Oh man.
Like Frankenstein. Then all of a sudden you have this weird claymation thing in the real world. That'd be super unsettling.
Yeah, absolutely. That all that kind of thing. That has to go in there. You gotta.
Fred Decker's still alive, dude. So what are you doing?
Yeah,
we just made you a movie.
You know this and other ones that should be way more iconic in the horror genre and just aren't, right? So like characters from Let the Right One In, or you just gotta like pop because they're recognizable, right? You know it when you see it. You'll know what it is. You'll just be like, why is that there? Like that's weird.
And then here's what you do. Here's the play. Mm-hmm. You do a lot of those guys, right? Monster Squad 3 comes out. We're doing it. We got to build the franchise out.
Okay, now the
all right, here's the trailer. Okay.
Okay.
They show you some scenes from the first one, from the second one. It's all the characters you know to love.
Sure.
And then they're showing you the big bad. We don't know who that is. Doesn't matter. One of his minions, it cuts to the Monster Squad's little sister. She's in a room. All of a sudden, the Jigsaw tricycle comes in. And I was like, oh my God, they had Jigsaw. It's like Super Smash Brothers. They're adding characters. People are flipping their fucking lid.
No.
Oh, this is getting off the rails.
No, that will be that is a terrifying direction.
And then somewhere someone will start a horror podcast and they'll do which franchise it should have been. And they'll be like Monster Squad.
Monster Squad.
They went off the fucking.
They went off the rails. That was it. No, I Jigsaw. That's I think it becomes terrifying. That's the most terrifying character I considered putting in as an homage was Robert Blake from Lost Highway. I just wanted to see him with like the camera. Which would be really dark, but no one would get, so that would be fine.
Could you?
But you're just throwing Jigsaw in there, which everyone knows. Everyone's just gonna be terrified.
They're all missing limbs and shit. Like we're just kids.
Yeah, no,
we were playing around with Frankenstein and Dracula, and now it's getting real.
No, you itchy and scratchy the hell out. Yeah,
that got weird.
Well, no, but the thing is, it's kind of odd how some of them become huge quality, and you can't identify in the recipe why it didn't take off and become a franchise. Sometimes it's timing, sometimes it's the rights issues, sometimes it was better off that way, right, the whole time. But I think sometimes you just don't know. That's the other thing is sometimes a franchise will. You would imagine that the Ouija franchise should have been killed in the cradle.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but it turns out that would be wrong. Right. So sometimes you don't know. Oh, and I also discovered while I was off there discovering my fucking Arctic adventures and trying not to die during the podcast, I discovered another thing was the Turn of the Screw franchise.
Oh, that's right. That was your ace up the sleeve.
Right. Well, I wasn't even ace. I was just confused. I was like, what makes a franchise? And then I kept finding movies that I loved that I would like felt like weren't in a franchise. And then the source material was Turn of the Screw, right? So it was like The Innocents, Turn of the Screw, Haunting, Turn of the Screw. I'm like, oh, Turn of the Screw is like the hidden franchise of classics. But
going to your Phantasm
yes.
idea of chopping it off.
Yes.
Do you think that applies to Paranormal Activity?
No. No,
Okay.
I think there's enough that happened in the later ones.
Because I do like the ending of 3.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if other ones
not mostly
waited out.
great, but most of them aren't mostly great, right?
That's
Hellraiser is mostly not great as it moves forward, but you can't get rid of everything but the first one because there's enough really good to not just like chop it off at one, right? So that's the thing is it's weird how some of the patterns of the franchises went where they were like, I mean, Friday the 13th, if we're being honest, really just kind of breaks into 3 eras, basically, right? So there's like the classic era through the first 4. Then there's like the weird era, right? Through like almost everything else. And then there's like the modern-ish era where it's all really meta, right? So it's not... when you look at those eras, there's no way to lay down a chopping blade and be like, I'll take this out. It's the pound of flesh thing. You can't get it out without it bleeding.
That's so weird that came up.
Right? It's the...
How did we even start talking about that?
Shakespeare, Shylock, the pound of flesh from Merchant of Venice.
Oh, we were at Romans.
Yeah, exactly. But that, yeah, it's weird that it came to that full circle of all the full circles.
Yeah, we went full circle to a thing we did like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but to hit a full circle at Shakespeare was really weird, but I guess that's what happened. So that's good. That's good. We can leave it there. It's fascinating though to even imagine what's in a franchise or not. I was agonizing over whether Carnival of Souls was in a franchise or not, right? Because, and that's the last thing I'll have to say on the subject is just that's a lesson to filmmakers everywhere. If you're gonna just do if there's only one entry and you're the very next person, don't fuck it up. Because if you fuck it up and that it just gets left there, then you just turn this thing into a franchise. And now it's a franchise that went from 100% quality to half shit. Like, that's how powerful your statistical swing is at that point. If you're coming as the next step, just be really sure when you're the next one.
Be like LeBron in that
Carnival
3.
of Souls remake is terrible, right? So
be like LeBron in that 3-point at the end of the game.
Yeah,
like that's
the real full circle.
Channel that.
That's the real full circle. Channel LeBron.
Perfect.
Right.
Well, if you like this
congrats
episode,
to them.
Congrats to them. You know what? To celebrate, give us a 5-star review on iTunes, even if you're not a Lakers fan, just because you earned it. For not being a Lakers fan.
Just because you're happy.
Yeah, because you're happy.
Cool.
All right. Till next time, stay scary, watch a bunch of horror movies. Talk to you later. Bye, guys.